Okay, so now we are actually going to look at our last set of Lewis structures, and this is going to involve creating polyatomic ions. So let's start by at least defining what a polyatomic ion is. So a polyatomic ion, so poly means many. So the idea is we have many atoms that are bonded together covalently. So they're going to share electrons. And then, but as a whole, this structure has lost or gained electrons. So we're going to look at both scenarios. So we're going to look at a scenario where we're losing electrons from the structure and where we're gaining electrons from the structure. So whenever we lose electrons from a structure, we're going to form a positive ion. So that really should be a review of what we understand about cations. And so the polyatomic ion that's a cation we're forming here is NH4 plus, and it is called the ammonium ion. And so let's look at the atoms that make it up. So we have nitrogen. And so nitrogen, again, is in group 15 of the periodic table. It has 5 valence electrons then. So here are my 5 valence electrons. And then it also has hydrogen. So here's my hydrogen atom. And hydrogen has 1 valence electron since it's in group 1. And there's its 1 valence electron. Okay, so let's talk about this before we put it together. This, whenever you have a positive charge, if you're looking at your notes, you can see this means we're going to subtract. And the amount we're going to subtract from it is going to be whatever the value of the charge. So in this case, it's a +1, so we're going to subtract 1 electron. Now, for bookkeeping purposes, I find it easier to remove and add electrons to what would be the central atom. So at this point, we should definitely know that hydrogen is never a central atom. It only has the ability to bond once. So this means that nitrogen is going to be my central atom. So I'm going to remove 1 electron here. And then I'm going to slide him over to the center with his 4 valence electrons. Now, according to the formula, this should have 4 hydrogens. So let me lay out all 4 hydrogens. So here's the one that I already had. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4. And each of those have 1 valence electron. 1, 1, and 1. Okay. So there's my Lewis structure. Now let's look at if we're drawing this out for homework or if we're going to draw this out for a test. Okay. We can draw it with lines representing the bonds. Now, there's one other touch to this Lewis structure that we haven't looked at before. Because this structure is an ion, we're going to need to put brackets around the structure. And then in this upper right-hand corner, we're going to give the charge. So it's going to be a +1 charge. Okay. And then we can also draw it with dots. And even if I draw it with my dots, I'm still going to need to put those brackets around the structure with the charge in the upper right-hand corner. Okay. And then if I look at this, we can see that each hydrogen has a pair of electrons. And then if we count around nitrogen, nitrogen has 2, 4, 6, 8 electrons surrounding it also. So we have obeyed the octet rule.